In the 1966 film Grand Prix, it all comes down to the last race at Monza. So it's rather fitting today that we wrap up at the Temple of Speed. Let's get ready for the PCA Sim Racing Series 12 Challenge Class Finale, and you'll see it all live here on RaceSpotTV. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth tonight is Ewan O'Leary. Behind the scenes is our director, Hugo Louise. And this truly is it, Ewan. It's the last race of our section of Monza races, so it's the end of Series 12.
Absolutely. What a great season it has been, and a shame to see it draw to a close, of course, but pleased that we are here for the final round because it's a very interesting final round. Pleased we left it to last, to be honest, because I reckon this has got the closest top four, the most unpredictable probably as far as a championship battle goes, with three drivers having a chance to come away at the end of today with the Challenge Class title.
We'll get into that in a second. In the meantime, a reminder that Charlie Mobile is sponsoring the Series 12 Clean Driver Award. Charlie Mobile is providing the winner with an Apple iPhone 16 and a year of cell service. A big thank you goes out to Charlie Mobile. Now, as for the standings on that, Aaron Sunday, in this class is the current highest or best positioned, I should say, 25 incidents. Wolf and Hales and Stevenson all tied at 33. That said, the overall clean driver title was essentially awarded last night as we had a driver that came away with 3 incidents over the end of the season. Surely was impressive. As for what we're talking about with the points championship, Aaron Sunday up at 468. Now remember, they have drop weeks involved in this, and that's where the rub is, because Aaron Sunday has 68 drop points. Because of that, Brian Stern and Will Wolf actually have to finish second or first to have a hope at winning the title. Aaron Sunday only needs to finish 6th or better to try and come away with it. So it requires a good day from whoever wants to try and bring it home, but these drivers have had some pretty good seasons so far, Ewan, so it's been looking pretty good for them.
Yeah, certainly it's a little bit different to last night, though, in the way that Mark Foley didn't even finish on the podium. And certainly last night, he was on the position to actually take the championship, although he didn't end up with it at the very end. But even so, it was, quite close. This is going to be very important, though, for Stern and Wolf to get into that top 2. As you say, they've got to be there if they are going to win this title. And so that's what we'll be looking out for over the course of the day. But Aaron Sunday has been so consistent. His worst finish is 10th place, and that just shows why he is on top of the standings.
Gives him a lot of cushion, that is for sure. So we ride on board here on the qualifying laps. We're still waiting for the first ones to hit the board here, which as we ride with our points leader, Aaron Sunday. He should be, I think, on that first flyer. I think he's completed that warm-up lap at this stage. And those who haven't been watching in the previous races, as you can tell, it is quite foggy out there. Really, all that will mean is that it's going to stay cool pretty much the entire race at about 66 Fahrenheit on the track surface for the drivers. So it won't make too much of a difference visibility-wise, except for maybe some of our long cameras there, Ewan.
Yeah, as we've seen throughout the last 2 weeks, it's not too much of an effect. To be honest, around this circuit, it's probably okay for getting bad visibility, because have a look at this. As long as you can see your braking zones for these corners, it's not like one of those circuits where you're constantly twisting and turning, and if you can't see that far in front, you can't really see the next corner. The next corner generally around this circuit is a very long way away. As you can see from here, long straights, big down in towards turn number 1, which is going to be a big moment for the start of this race for sure. Then in towards the second chicane, again, good chances to overtake as well. The Lesmos are the only real normal conventional racetrack corners, to be honest, around this circuit. Then you've got Ascari, the most difficult chicane, and the Parabolica as well, which is a flowing corner. A very high-speed circuit indeed that certainly lends itself to good racing.
We saw some great racing last night as well. So now that we've got some times on the board, Sunday is the quickest, and it's by 0.6 of a second. That's a much bigger gap than we've seen in the other classes up to this point at the top of the timing sheets. Usually it's been pretty tight up there. That said, Jeppesen is less than a tenth away from Randall Ayers, who is in that second spot. We ride on board with Olin Murphy, who needs to get a little bit closer to the front. He comes in fourth, but he is unable to take the title because even if he tied on points, which is the only possibility, unfortunately, he wouldn't win the countback. So it's so close yet so far if you're Olin Murphy.
And it would be really ruining last week, or the week before, I should say, the last race at Willow Springs, where he finished way down in 23rd position. By far his worst result of the season so far, because prior to that point, he hadn't finished outside of the top 7. It'd been a very, very good season indeed, but he dropped a load of points. If he'd have just even finished in the top 5, just, a position or 2 ahead of that 7th place worst, he would have been, a point closer, and it would have been alive today for Murphy. It's that close. He's 32 points exactly behind. Aaron Sunday can only lose 32 at maximum, and as you can say, Murphy would lose a countback, so it's agonisingly close.
Second lap not going to count for Murphy. He slips down to 8th, now 9th actually, as more drivers jump to the front. Randall Ayers is now your quickest driver with a 51.6, and Aaron Sunday will take that one right back with a 51.5, about a tenth between P1 and P2. What about Jeff Block? He comes across into the Parabolica, hasn't set a time yet. In fact, this is his first time lap, so he got out there a bit late. I'm actually not sure if he'll be able to make all 3 laps. 3.5 minutes to go. Yeah, this is probably next one will be his last chance, I suppose, over the line. We'll get a couple of laps in at least, which is a good start. Jack Stevenson still on lap 1. He's definitely going to run out of time for his laps. It is one of those relatively longer circuits, especially compared to some of the others we've had on this calendar, like Donington, Brands Hatch, Summit Point, Barber. In fact, the front 4 of this championship were all very short circuits indeed. Got a little bit longer towards the end of the season, like here at Monza. But yeah, people are going to run out of time a little bit. They're all on lap 3 at the moment. Olin Murphy, though, has gone back to pit lane. His third and final lap time is not going to be an improvement either. His first time on the board is going to be the one that counts forward, and it's only 11th place so far. Oof, man, it is a bad day for Olin Murphy to try and at least take second in the championship. Meanwhile, Britt Danley is just going to make it for this third one. The 86 we were watching there for a moment, sitting in 8th position. Yeah, there is Olin Murphy, unfortunately, stationary in the pit lane, which means he's not going to be able to improve. Jeremy Main just crossed and jumped up to 4th last time, so nice little quip up the order for him. And it looks like Danley is not going to be able to go any faster and stays in 3rd. Let's check in with another of our championship contenders, Brian Stern here.
That's a very strange line into Parabolica. He's diving straight for the early apex there. He shouldn't be jumped over now because Sunday and Ayers are both into pit lane now, but not sure whether that is Stern's line. If he improves here, I'll be amazed, but impressed also. He goes over the line and it's not that far away. I reckon if he just takes a bit of a smoother entry in towards the Parabolica, he can get a better exit and maybe a better lap time. It was really odd, that.
Still doing what he needs to do if he wants this championship. Starting from the pole will not harm him, that's for sure, as DiVincenzo looks like he's going to jump up to 10th, so top 10 start for him. But as we've seen, sometimes the mid-pack can be a bit frantic, and in fact, you can make it through that chicane and still trouble can befall you. I mean, I think back to the start of yesterday's race where we had a car spin exiting instead of coming in.
Yeah, we did. I think it was Charlie Ferrer, wasn't it, who dropped it on the exit of turn 2, right in the middle of the field, and got smacked, unfortunately, as you would expect, I suppose, on the opening lap. We'll see how the opening chicane goes this time round, because we've seen a number of... It's one of the great things, actually, of getting to the challenge class after having seen 3 races that are almost identical beforehand. We do have a bit of a track record as to what's going to happen. The pro race was very clean on lap 1 and very unclean for the rest of it. The sport class last night had a little bit of carnage on lap 1, but it wasn't too much. I think that there was probably most in club this time last week, but it wasn't terrible by any means. People have been very aware that the first chicane is deadly and they know what it can do, so they've been taking care accordingly as well.
Looks like our only driver that will fail to set a time is Jack Stevenson, as his second lap was deleted for going outside of track boundaries, unfortunately. And doesn't look like anybody else is going to be able to get to the line in time to complete another lap. So our grid is effectively set here. And definitely two familiar faces up at the front of it. And only 23 cars, slightly smaller than what we saw in previous races in these 2 weeks. But it is going to give us Brian Stern on the pole. So what can he do with it now that he has put himself on that spot compared to many of his rivals? Let's watch the pole lap with Brian Stern. You want to talk us around here, Ewan?
I'll do my best to fill the straights because there's a lot of them. On the brakes in towards turn of 1, big overtaking opportunity by the time we get to the race, because look how long the braking zone is. You're on there for ages, and then in towards the corner itself, diving over that curve on the left right hand side, but not necessarily on the left. You want to keep that smooth, keep the car grounded so you can straighten it up in time for a good exit out of turn 2. Turn 3 is next, but it's not really a corner. That's why you need such a good run out of turn number 2, and ideally you need the inside line through the Curva Grande when you are side by side, because it's a much shorter route. Then another long braking zone down in towards the second chicane. You really do bounce over the curves here. There's the left hand side one, and then the right hand side as much as you can without getting a slowdown or an off track penalty. Out of turn 5, then into the 2 Lesmos. These are the more flowing corners on the racetrack. Nice third gear corners in this car. Nice and smooth, very smooth from Brian Stern so far, actually. Just nicely on the turn in. No corrections on the wheel. Just turns in, straightens up again. No corrections, no opposite lock at all through turn 7. Now through the Curva del Soriglio, which certainly is no challenge for these cars. Under the bridge, under the old oval, Stern now goes, and then in towards Ascari, the most difficult of the 3 chicanes. Get over the curve on the left-hand side, then you can just bobble over them a little bit on the right if you want. Stern just decides to kiss them briefly before getting lined up for the final part. Another really important bit for getting a good run down this next straight, which gets you all the way down towards Parabolica. I'm not sure if this lap is going to have him diving for the apex quite in the way we saw him do on the very last lap. Oh, it is. He's watched the way he dives for the very early apex there. Don't really know why he does that. I don't think that's the quickest way to do it, but anyway, he does. He's certainly shortened his distance all the way to the line, and he clearly has gotten pole as a result of that. But I've never seen anybody take a line quite like that before.
It is very strange. If we get to chat with him, we'll have to ask his reasoning behind that and see if there's a stability thing or something in there that just feels more comfortable for him. But yeah, I'd agree that I wouldn't expect it to be any quicker. But that does give us our starting grid. So why don't we take a glance at that and see how this field is going to look once they line up for the starts of the last race of the last event here in Series 12. On the top, going to be Brian Stern on the pole. As we said, Aaron Sunday will try and take the challenge to him. All he needs is 6th or better for the championship. Randall Ayers will be P3, and Josh Jeppesen will be in 4th. From there, Jeremy Main starts 5th. Outside of that third row goes to Robert Goulet. Will Wolf will start in 7th. Britt Danley, starts in P8, and then Alan Hales in 9th. Top 10 going to be rounded out by Anthony DiVincenzo. From there, Alex Lidback will start in 11th, followed by Johan Nye in 12th. Ewan.
4th placed in the championship, Owen Murphy's all the way down in 13th place. And a note on him, by the way, in a couple of moments. Jeffrey Block is 14th, ahead of Dave Douglas and Ed Trippett, who are sharing row 8. Ryan McGee and Jim Germani are on row 9 behind him. 5 seconds back is Lisa Eskridge. I would suggest that these are not quite representative lap times from these at the very back end. Andy McCune is 20th with Adam Holland, David Sell and Jack Stevenson. As I say, not with representative times, I would suggest, given the amount they are off the front. And note on Erlen Murphy, by the way, Sean Murphy saying in the YouTube chat that he's sitting next to Erlen at the moment in Ireland. It's 2 in the morning as it is here, and they only put the rig together yesterday, so Erlen drove the track for the first time today. Fingers crossed for a decent finish, but it won't be. You can take that as you will, given it's a YouTube comment, but I'm willing to believe him, and that might be one of the reasons why he's qualified right in the midfield for a driver who's been so consistently inside the top 10 this season.
Good catch on that. Yeah, that would explain a lot out there. Before we get off to our racing, we want you to keep your racing clean and your body cleaner with mohandsome.com men's skincare and grooming products. Something you'll likely need after working up a sweat in your sim rig. Their products are designed and manufactured right here in the USA. Made from natural ingredients with low fragrance, Mohandsome products are filled with good stuff to keep your skin and hair healthy. These race-winning natural formulas in the sports car liveried containers will appeal to grizzled veterans and fresh-faced hot shoes alike. Use promo code GOMOPCA to get a very special 25% off your purchases at mohandsome.com. Grab one as a holiday gift today. Not much time left to get those holiday gifts in, so definitely important to get that done sooner rather than later. These drivers won't have much time left, as it looks like Checkered Flag is out on our warm-up session. Practice is over. It is put up or shut up time, Ewan.
Certainly, it is time for the final race of the season, the final of all the categories as well. Everybody will be thinking about that run down in towards turn number one. It's such an important one for your race, but also for just surviving. It is so important as well. So really looking forward to getting this race underway in a few moments' time and seeing who's going to be champion. Of course, it is still on the line. Aaron Sunday, Brian Stern and Will Wolf all with a chance to win tonight.
For Stern and Wolf, the other thing, even if they can't take the championship, is neither has a win so far in Series 12. So I'm sure they'd like to hopefully put that one on the board and get that done with, but we'll see whether or not they can make that happen tonight. They have been close. We've had a 2 second places for Brian Stern, as well as a third in there back at Summit Point. Whereas Will Wolf has also had 2 second places and a third, where his third came at Brands Hatch in race number 2. So, as it looks like Pace Car is getting the go-ahead, they're going to be taking off in here just a moment. You can see, thankfully, we don't have to do a full pace lap around this place, but wouldn't be surprised if we had some drivers trying to warm up their tires. I don't believe they're allowed to weave, but you can still try and drag the brakes to get them up to temperature, as we see, 19 Celsius on the track surface.
It's pretty early in the morning. 19th of December, which is today, if you're over in America. So it is today, and it's very cold indeed. Mid-60s in Fahrenheit as we do the conversion. There, it's very cold indeed. So these opening laps may be a little bit tricky. I know that on some cars in iRacing, in the new tyre model, the tyre warm-up phase is really quite difficult, actually. And maybe that would be one of these. I didn't really notice it last night, to be honest, or last week either. So it'll be interesting to see as the 23 drivers make their way now down towards the Parabolica. Get ready for an hour-long race once again in the final for the final time this season. One pit stop to come, of course, about halfway. Shouldn't be seeing anybody go much more than 40 minutes or so, but plenty of time between now and then to get good track position. And first of all, of course, get off to a good start.
Alrighty, pace cars exiting out of Parabolica now, and Brian Stern's going to be given control. He's in the green car on the inside. Sunday in the blue and white to his left. They cannot go until they are given the signal from the flag stand, and since the start line is well down, they have to wait a bit here until they get the signal. There it is now. Green flag is out. It's a pretty good start from Sunday. He's starting to approach from behind there, as Randall Ayers also got an excellent run. Does he try and show himself coming up into the brake zone? No, he doesn't. Although he goes in deep, gives a little bit of a touch. Now he's going to have to split the middle between them, and he actually comes together with Sunday.
Sunday is slowed by Ayers though, who goes for a spin. He was out of control from the very beginning, smashing himself down the middle there, and it could have been a lot worse. Sunday's down to 4th place, but it's a good start for Brian Stern, who gets away with that. Oh, that could have been a lot worse.
Ayers goes to the very back. Sunday falls to 5th. It looks like he lost another one to Wolf there, so still in the position he needs to be, but he might get a couple back because I think there's some cars spinning just in front of him. There it is, right there on the screen now, and that will indeed give him 2 positions back up into 3rd. That was William Wolf involved in that one.
Yeah, and Jefferson as well as the one that was probably spun around. Wolf was just delayed, but that has given Sunday 2 of those positions back immediately. And there he is, coming into Lesmo 2. He's just ahead of Britt Danley and Alan Hales, who are going side by side into Lesmo 2. That was very close indeed. And now Robert Gallis is going to just come through into 5th place pretty easily. What a chaotic start here. 3rd placed Aaron Sunday is already 5 seconds off the lead.
Red Mist is already down for a number of drivers. My goodness, as we've had a bit of a messy start for the challenge class this evening. Watch them heading through the Ascari chicane now and exiting out onto the run towards Parabolica. We watch Goulet in his yellow and black spotted car. He's in the top 5 with the gain of 1. He's chasing on Britt Danley, who has gained 4 at the start of this race.
Yeah, some pretty good starts from a few. Danley is one of them. Dave Douglas is into the top 10. That's up 5 from where he qualified in 15th place as well. Unfortunately, though, some big losers as well. Randall eyes his way down. Joshua Jepson as well. Those are the 2 drivers who went on a full 180 during that opening lap in different locations, of course. As we look back from Anthony DiVincenzo, and he'll be looking in his mirrors as well, because Owen Murphy's coming steaming through. He gets past Alex Lidback for 8th place. This is a good start for Murphy. Up 5 positions now.
This is excellent. He really needed this if he wants to try and solidify 2nd in the championship, but which is definitely still possible for him. But he's got a few more passes to make to get where he needs to be. Brian Stern is leading this one. Wolf, unfortunately, involved in that incident at the start, of course, is fallen backwards himself and is now behind him as they work their way through Della Rosa.
Oh! Sorry, Anthony DiVincenzo was off there on the left-hand side. He's gone for a spin at the 2nd chicane. And by the way, Ayers was backwards at the 1st chicane for the 2nd lap in a row as well. There's DiVincenzo.
Going to get it turned around in time, gets enough of a gap to get back going, but it'll be 19th with a long ways to go just to get to the next car. Already about 5 seconds behind, up ahead of them. Coming back down into the Ascari chicane, a little bit of side by side between William Wolf and Johan Nye. Wolf gets at least one of them back, but it's not going to mean a whole lot. He was just given a black flag for an orange zone violation. This is what happened before the incident with Wolf. This was Ayers coming into the first turn, and you're right, I saw that too, that it looked like he was just out of control heading in. Yeah,
it did really. I mean... yeah, it's difficult really, other than at the end, I suppose. Aaron Sunday then had to drive across the anti-cut curves, and that's why he lost another place, because he had a slowdown, I would imagine. Further back, there was all sorts of bumping and barging going on down here, I would imagine, as they finally got themselves through. David So going so slowly. I think he's flagged up as an incident causer. So that's all that. That was Joshua Jepson, I think, getting hit by Wolf. So that's why Wolf has got that black flag, and he's currently serving that right now. As far as we were concerned, they're on board with Jepson. He was just hit, and that's what it looked like from the off-board as well.
Unfortunate for both of them, because it was costly. Wolf paying for it twice, it appears. Yeah, just an ambitious move down into the 2nd chicane on the 1st lap, and it did not work out for him. So down they go, down the order. As we come back live once again, back to that Della Rosa chicane. Looks like this is between Main and Stern. And, well, Main actually took the lead away. So when we weren't looking, Jeremy Main has passed Sunday and Stern already. Was there a problem with the 18 and the 331?
No, he was already ahead of Sunday, but he got himself ahead of Stern in quite a long, drawn-out battle. Stern was driving down the middle of the road. He thought that would be enough, but no. He broke a little bit earlier there, maybe with championship on his mind, and let Jeremy Main down the inside just for the moment. Says I might well come back a little bit later. Stern was pretty close through the Curva Grande, but he was never going to get back through again. And so Jeremy Main now leads. Both of these two, by the way, if they were to go on to the end like this, by the way, would be fighting to be the 6th different race winner this season in this class.
Wow. It's definitely impressive considering there's only 7 races in the championship in Series 12. So only 1 repeat winner if things stay as they are. That's going to be a big if the way is going. Wow, Adam Holland with a big wreck here coming down into Ascari.
Holland wasn't the one who smacked the wall first, though. That was Sell. We've already seen him going exceptionally slowly through the first chicane, trying to mind his own business in the opening lap. But have a look at this. This will be a big smash in towards Ascari. Just gets turned on the right-hand side and bang, straight into the wall on the right-hand side. And there's nothing he could do to stop himself from sliding into Holland and the rest of them.
And that's not the first time we've seen someone clip somebody else on the braking into that chicane. I believe we saw it in the pro class as well. Drivers just not giving up space. Oh, 80 to Kuhn. Oh, wow. Somebody needs to thank their lucky stars. Oh, that wasn't McCune cutting through there. McCune was the yellow car. I was trying to figure out who that was.
I don't know. I couldn't identify at the time. But at Randall Ayers, oh, goodness me. This is what dropped him down after. So he went late on the brakes. He shived down the inside. I think he intensely tried to slot himself through there once he knew he was going to go too far. Have a look and a listen here. I think he intensely did it right at the very end. But let's see. Yeah, he's sort of aiming for it at the very end, isn't he? He obviously didn't intentionally do that at the beginning. But once he knew he was too late on the brakes, he was doing everything he could to try and not hit anybody.
Oh, and is this live with the 86 here? Yes, Britt Danley off course, and another car spinning in sympathy. Jeff Block goes off, so they'll get back onto the circuit, but both of them losing quite a bit of time. Thankfully, it doesn't look like either of them hit anything in the process. You know, twice with a problem with the brakes. I wonder if Randall Ayers has some sort of issue with his pedals, maybe.
I mean, maybe that, or is it something as simple as he quite hasn't found his range at turn one yet? They're both at turn one for whatever reason. I can definitely understand them as well, because both times he was not driving down the left-hand side of the road, which is where you'd normally take your braking marker from. You wouldn't be looking over to the right normally down there before turn one. You'd be looking over at something on the left to try and gauge, and he was on both occasions on the right-hand side of the road, which would have obscured his view of the braking markers on the left-hand side, so maybe that's what it was. But he's back out there again now. In fact, he's right ahead of these two leaders. That's how close it was, by the way.
Pops a wheelie for good measure. Thankfully, that's not going to hurt as much as it would in real life, although if he does have a motion rig, he is going to get a huge whump to his behind in the process. Brian Stern gave a good go at trying to get the lead back from Jeremy Main, but no dice on that one. 555 holds on to it for the time being. Aaron Sunday has been gaining because of that little battle, though. He's down to 2.7 seconds behind them.
Yeah, he is gaining, certainly. This is Britt Danley again. He's had a pretty miserable race so far. This is moments later. Spins out of Ascari this time round. All of Italy's gravel seems to have found itself onto the road there. I wonder whether it is affecting him slightly. I mean, have a look at this. It's all over the place. Kind of helped as he bobbled over the curve at the final part and goes for another spin. I mean, we're almost needing a second hand to count the amount of spins Britt Danley's had in the first 10 minutes here.
It has not been good, that is for sure. Randall Ayers still has a black flag. Is that a second one, I wonder? Or has he already served his other?
I reckon he might have got a second one for the near smash at turn one. We know the first one was an orange zone violation at turn one, lap one, but maybe he got into trouble for the second one as well for dangerous driving. This is Jack Stevenson down on the brakes at turn one. He's got it slightly wrong as well, as in live pictures. Brian Stern's going for the lead.
He's going to have to do it the long way around, though, as braking deeper, he is going to be able to get by the turn-in. Jeremy Main hands it right back, and Brian Stern up to the front once again.
Went a bit wide, though. Main will be coming back again towards the second chicane, I would have thought, as these guys stay single file. That's late on the break from Jefferson. Goodness me, Joshua Jefferson, how's he in ninth place? I've only just noticed that. That's unbelievable. He started last, of course, and he was last nearly after his spin, and suddenly he's back in ninth again.
This is an impressive run through the field. We're on lap 6, so he's passed a lot of cars. Now, of course, we've seen a lot of issues in those laps, so I'm sure that certainly helped as we check out Lisa Eskridge fighting for 16th position, or maybe just 17th, because that's Block close behind, and that's how Block got there. So he found himself facing the wrong way. I wonder if he was a bit distracted by the spinning car in front of him.
I think that's exactly right. I think he was very, very distracted in towards Lesmo 2 there, unfortunately. Never really made an effort to counter steer, which suggests to me he was distracted by that. So unfortunate for him, that's Jack Stevenson round the back of the back end of the lap, going for a spin, avoiding the wall just about parabolic. Oh, and then he smacks the wall trying to get going again. That might do him a bit of damage. A few others having to weave around him in the background, but they continue on. There's been a lot going on at the start. This is much more like the Pro Series race from last week. In comparison, Club and Sport was very quiet in the first 10 minutes.
Certainly bookended by some chaotic races here, the Monza rounds for this one. Jeppesen is up to ninth now. Alex Lidback in front of him. That's Alan Hales, Dave Douglas, all in a veritable buffet in front of the number 73. He's going to get a nice pull from the slipstream down the main straight, but I don't think he's quite close enough that we'll see any attempts into the first turn.
Don't think so. Much like what we saw last lap, actually, where there was a couple of peaks, especially from Hales and Jeppesen, but nothing major. And so they continue on in one line here. This is the battle for the highest position in the field now, really, with the leaders sort of spread apart. Although Stern is under a little bit of pressure from May, it's nothing like this as we go on board with Jeppesen, who is on the back of Alex Lidback. His job being made harder, of course, by the fact that the 11 has got a double toe from those up ahead. Jeppesen weaving around all over the place through the curvy ground. They try to have a look inside and outside, but he couldn't quite do it, and he remains in ninth.
Certainly trying to be smart about it, which I kind of don't blame him. It seems like if you keep it on the black stuff today, you're going to wind up with a halfway decent result. As he exits out of the first Lesmo, he waits for the right time for Lidback to maybe open the door for him. He stays glued to that rear bumper, so he's definitely putting himself in the right place to capitalize.
Yeah, certainly. This is a good view on board at the moment, inside the top 10 with Joshua Jeppesen. Look at all that waving going on up ahead. Douglas and Hales both looking for each other's slipstream, or Hales looking for Douglas's rather, in towards Ascari. Better line here from Jeppesen, but does he have the exit? That's what you really need through here. He's just about nailed that. Is he close enough though? Again, he's going to have the slight problem that Lidback is going to have the double toe, as again Douglas and Hales are weaving around. Jeppesen decides not to even bother with slipstream in towards Parabolica there.
See what it looks like this time coming out. He really needs that good run. Coming down past the start-finish line does look pretty decent, and they are weaving across the track to try and break the slipstream. Interesting that Josh does not follow him all the way through, but as they weave back to the racing line on the left-hand side, he's going to get another toe of it, and it's just not there, or he seems to think it might be. He shows himself in the mirrors, but he's not going to get the overlap.
Not quite on this occasion. Would have had to be a bit brave on the brakes, to be honest, for that. So he decides to just stay behind as Lidback and Jeppesen again got close as well. We've reached a bit of a status quo, and just for the last 2 laps or so, it has calmed down ever so slightly up inside the top 10. Anyway, this is Jeffrey Block coming back through the field again. And Lisa Eskridge, I think, is his latest pass. Jack Stevenson is in the lime green just in behind them. This is Block, though, I'd expect coming back through again. He was nearly in the top 10 when he spun.
And gets him up to 17th. Jack Stevenson, who was the only driver without a qualifying time, has managed to get up to 19th. But I would have expected maybe a bit more. Seems to have had a few mistakes throughout, at least one of which we've seen so far in today's race. And we switch back over to the 944 of Ryan McGee, who was in quite the fight with Britt Danley, who seemed awful close there for a moment. Now as they exit the Lesmos, this is going to be a great chance coming down to Ascari. Good run from Danley, and a look down the inside. Out breaks Ryan McGee. As long as they make the corner, and indeed Danley does, that's going to be P13.
It's very impressive that Danley's been able to cool his tyres down, to be honest. That would be the main issue and thing I would be thinking about, to be honest, with the amount of spins he had in the first 10 minutes. Surely his tyres have got me on fire, but he's dealt with it really well without actually having to slow down loads. Normally when you are in a situation where your tyres are really screaming hot, you just have to slow down a lot. Danley doesn't seem to have been able to already had to do that, but he's still moving forward again now, having cooled them down a bit. It's been a pretty remarkable job, and he's now on the climb back through the field. If he can cut out some of those spins from earlier, he'll be back in the top 10 pretty soon.
Looks like DJ Sell is the latest to get a black flag. By the way, I was just confused earlier. It was Wolf that we saw with the black flag. Ayers hadn't had one yet, so he did serve his eventually. It's just the stewards apparently got to him second on that one. So we watch them come up through the Curva Grande once again, looking for the breaking of the De La Roja chicane. Definitely a good place to try and overtake. We've seen a number of good passes here over the years, and while it seems like Danley is tempted to be able to make it, and DJ Sell is going to have to give those positions up, although DJ was already a lap down from them, so this really doesn't affect him much.
They all followed him, though, which was my concern, that they were going to follow him straight through the chicane now. Sometimes you do get a bit of tunnel vision down there at the second chicane. You're also braking at the point the person ahead of you does. Nick very nearly saw a few of them off the road. Danley, though, is very close out of Lesmo 2 there, and there could be a chance even into a Ascari, which you don't see very often. Not quite close enough, though. Under the bridge, you need to be right on the back of the driver in front of you, ideally, and he just isn't for the moment. So he stays behind again, but Danley is certainly quicker than the drivers he's currently around. He just, as I say, needs to get rid of those mistakes, and he'll be moving forward.
Well, if you want to keep your racing clean and your body cleaner with mohandsome.com men's skincare and grooming products, that's something you'll likely need after working up a sweat in your sim rig. Their products are designed and manufactured right here in the USA. Made from natural ingredients with low fragrance, Mo Handsome products are filled with good stuff to keep your skin and hair healthy. These race-winning natural formulas in the sports car liveried containers will appeal to grizzled veterans and fresh-faced hot shoes alike. Use promo code GOMOPCA to get a very special 25% off your purchases at mohandsome.com. Grab one as a holiday gift today. Checking over in with the 555 here. This is Jeremy Main.
Sorry, you won't have seen this, Joe. I think there was just a mistake. Yeah, let's have a look here. Bit late on the brakes, and he's just had to lock it up to not spin. So a half spin, he's got away with it, mate. I actually feared he'd have a slowdown at this point, and he would have to let Sunday through, but he's been able to continue on. He's just lost a fair bit of time at the first chicane.
We have a problem with Alan Hales here as he exits the De La Roja chicane. Car was awful slow. Wonder if he had a bit of an incident.
And Douglas is off as well now. So both of those in that battle previously have now gone off. Hales at the second chicane as he was trying to follow Douglas, and then one corner later, Dave Douglas went off. Oh dear, that's very Lewis Hamilton in the late 2000s, whatever year that was, if you remember that race. He just smacks the wall on the front end, and he's probably got a bit of damage there now.
Yeah, we saw a driver do that last night as well. It seems that first Lesmo can be a bit tricky exiting out of it if you get too greedy on the throttle, especially with how much gravel has been thrown around there. I'm sure that does not help the grip conditions on that part of the circuit. Hales versus Danley now coming down into the Parabolica. And Danley's got a good run. It's difficult to try and make the pass into here. And as we often say, might be better to wait until after, or maybe in the middle of it. Wide goes Alan Hales, and up goes Britt Danley into ninth.
I think he was going to wait for the front straight, but when the driver ahead of you makes a mistake like that and opens the door, there really isn't any other choice. And so Danley went through pretty easily there. Hales will get back in the slipstream here for ninth place, and might even come back again, but he decides to stay behind. Probably the best idea, because he has shown himself to be quicker here, Britt Danley. There's not really much point if you're Alan Hales there in fighting, especially when the likes of Ed Trippett are not far behind. And if it goes wrong, then you can very easily lose your top 10 position. So Danley should be secure now in ninth place and focus on up ahead again.
Ed Trippett is in a very good spot to try and challenge here. He got a good run off of the first chicane, not quite good enough. Although once again, we see a little bit of a wide apex for Hales as he struggles to try to get the car to turn in, probably still cleaning the dirt and gunk off those tires a bit.
Yeah, as you can see, that's that most people have been doing that on the circuit. It's all over the place at the moment, especially through these two corners here on the outside there. Not a great run from Hales out of Lesmo 2 on this occasion. Ed Trippett closing in. As I say, you need to be really close at Ascari if you want to do this, but he is, thankfully, Ed Trippett. So he gets down to the inside, in towards Ascari. Later on the brakes. Oh, is that too late? Oh, no, not quite. He just pulls it up in time. So he's into the top 10.
Smooth move there from the 444 as we get a little bit of action between Jeppesen and Lidback for that 6th position. And I think Lidback is going to be able to fight back here a bit because he's well within range coming onto the main straight. Jeppesen tries to cut off that draft a little bit, but we'll see if the 11 starts to pull in and goes for the move down into the braking of the first chicane. He's there or thereabouts, but it looks like a lift. So no, he is not going to try and return the favor. Jeppesen up to 6th now.
That's a good pass. And he's really making progress after that early spin. Hales and Trippett are going at it again. It's got the early signs maybe of one of these battles that could go right the way to the end. And Ed Trippett works his way round the outside into 10th place. They're losing a lot of time to Danley, but that shouldn't be a concern to them. They're probably slower than him anyway, but Trippett now through. Will Alan Hales be able to stick with him again?
So Garamani spinning off the circuit and gets it going once again. I think that may have been what caused Dave Douglas to get a penalty there. Oh, and completely off the course. Alan Hales has to take the shortcut. That'll give him a slowdown penalty to hand the time back. And Trippett will be able to scamper away and not have to worry about that 10th place for a little while longer. While we have had multiple cars down pit lane at this stage, none of them have been for the scheduled pit stop, which we're not expecting to see anytime soon. Probably at least not until the halfway point of this race. Is taking a little bit of a look farther up at Maine once again. Aaron Sunday has chased him back down after the 555 had his hiccup coming into the Redifilio chicane, but the 331 has not been able to make the pass quite yet. Still, he's keeping him within range should another mistake come out of Jeremy.
And he'll be certainly hoping so. He's trying to pressure him into doing that in towards turn 1 by just showing the nose there. Nothing doing this time though. Main a lot earlier on the brakes than he was on that time. He made the mistake, but it's the exit that does for him this time. He broke early enough and he got nicely down on the brakes at turn 1, but he lifts up the rear tyres and he loses 2nd place.
That is a real shame there. He had such a good race looking at the start, but then it's all kind of unfolded around him. And Stern and Sunday return to the status quo of how they started this race, oddly enough. Olin Murphy, by the way, is now up to 4th with all that's been happening. In fact, yeah, there he is in the background, as that's a lapped car that Maines is just going by. Here is the replay of the bane of Jeremy Maine's existence, which seems to be Redifilio.
Yeah, he's got it wrong on the way in and the way out now. So he's down to 3rd place. Unfortunately for Jeremy Maine, leaves Aaron Sunday in 2nd and Brian Stern a long way out in the lead. DiVincenzo, meanwhile, is trying to work his way past Jim Giramani for 13th, and that was pretty easy. You can see that Giramani has got a big hole in the rear end, and that is because, you were right, by the way, that is how Dave Douglas got his penalty, because he smashed into the back of him at that 2nd chicane.
Bit of a shame. We've seen a lot of drivers have kind of their races innocently ruined by others' problems out there and mistakes, but that's why we do have those penalties to try and redress and discourage those sorts of things. But this is the challenge class, so this is drivers that are still kind of getting themselves together. We watch on board with DiVincenzo. A little bit of a dent in the nose, it looks like, of that car as well.
Very minor misshaped, is it? I can't really. Yeah, I can't really. Well, that's not going to help. It's fog. Fog's in the way. But yeah, I don't know. It's very slightly misshapen. You can see the grille is a little bit out of whack, but I don't think it's anything too bad. I mean, anything, of course, is a concern around this circuit. You need absolutely every bit of aerodynamic help that you can get in a straight line. However, I can't see that making much of a difference. I mean, it's barely out of shape.
I agree. I think it'll be minimal at most. Oof, as William Wolf still trying to get back up past many cars after not only falling to the back but serving a penalty, is almost up to 17th. Dave Douglas to his left-hand side. Pair of drivers who have experienced penalties from race control in this event. Deep braking from William Wolf will give him the 8 packs if he can steer it through the second part well enough. Looks like he's got it. Yeah, nice move there by the 16.
He has got it into 17th place for Will Wolf. He is losing at the moment. He's 3rd place in the championship, or at least he's tied 2nd with Brian Stern. Owen Murphy's only 10 points behind him, and despite the disastrous qualifying for Murphy, he's now a long way ahead of him. Wolf needs to gain 10 places, and that's even if Murphy only stays where he is right now to secure that 3rd place all over again. So it's a long, long road now for Wolf, but then again, 8th place, for example, is only about half a minute ahead of him right now, and considering he is driving pretty quickly, it might be possible. He's probably hoping, though, that some people fall off ahead of him.
Certainly, but as it stands, Aaron Sunday still should be crowned our champion. That is, of course, unofficial. After they review the race, the stewards will go over everything with a fine-tooth comb before they affirm him as our champion. So he's got to sit tight until he gets to have his sweets. In the meantime, William Wolf, coming out of the Ascari chicane, is starting to distance himself from Dave Douglas. So the 16 showing the speed that we saw in qualifying, but unfortunately has not really been able to use as much here in the race. We got a car in the pit lane. That is Ryan McGee.
Yeah. Just outside the top 12 at the time, and now he pulls into his box for the first scheduled pit stop, we believe, of the day. Less than 33 minutes to go, and nobody else can make it home, I don't believe, at this stage. So that is the first one scheduled. Dave Douglas, though, behind has also come in, looking for about 20 seconds in the box here.
All right, so both he and Douglas should be able to get to the finish from here as they pick up speed once again. There is Douglas. Definitely one of my more favorite paint schemes between the Radio Shack and the flannel, I guess we'll call it, on his car. It feels very early 80s to me.
It's almost like tartan pattern or something. Not quite, but it's a very strong. I wonder if it's made out of that material. Probably not, but yeah, it looks good. From a distance, I actually didn't notice the sort of pattern on it, but you're right, he's definitely taken that from his curtains or something.
Yeah, you might be right that it might be a tartan scheme that he's put on the car there, but we'll have to ask him if we get a chance to maybe pick his brain. Back to the 18, Brian Stern leading this race, started it from pole. Had a bit of a nudge at the very start coming into the first chicane, but managed to get away with it as Ayers didn't completely wipe him out. But it did compromise Aaron Sunday, and I think that has made quite the difference here, Ewan, because I look at the gap, it's still at about 6.5 seconds. I think Aaron and Brian are essentially close enough on pace that if Aaron hadn't have had that problem, he maybe could have given this a go to fight him.
Yeah, maybe. I think it's difficult to say, actually. I mean, last time round, Stern was 3.5 tenths quicker than Aaron Sunday. I mean, that is only one lap, I suppose. I think that the two of them a little bit more inconsistent, actually, than the other leaders that we've seen in the other classes. So it is pretty difficult to say. But yeah, maybe it would have been closer if Sunday had a better start. But then again, you know, these races are full of what-ifs. So it is difficult to say. Nearly 7 seconds the gap. Stern doing all he can as things stand. But a reminder, Aaron Sunday only needs a top 6, even if Stern wins this race. So it's a comfortable position for Aaron Sunday to be in, because he'd have to drop back here.
Checking in with Joshua Chapman, who's relatively close before this becomes any more exciting. We do want to mention once again that you can keep your racing clean and your body cleaner with MoHandsome.com men's skincare and grooming products. Something you'll likely need after working up a sweat in your sim rig. Their products are designed and manufactured right here in the USA. Made from natural ingredients with low fragrance, Mo Handsome products are filled with good stuff to keep your skin and hair healthy. These race-winning natural formulas in the sports car liveried containers will appeal to grizzled veterans and fresh-faced hot shoes alike. Use code GOMOPCA to get a very special 25% off your purchases at mohanson.com. Grab one as a holiday gift today. In fact, checking out the Mo Handsome car here, coming down into the braking. I believe that is Olin Murphy, if I'm not mistaken. Indeed, it is.
Yeah, fourth place at the moment in this race, despite the qualifying, as I mentioned earlier, up 9 so far, which is the most positions gained by anybody in the race.
Yeah, it kind of makes me wonder if he had more time, if that qualifying would have gone a bit better, because it seems like he's found his legs in the race itself. He may not have had the practice, but he seems to have a good handle on things. He said it was I guess his brother apparently said it was his first time at the track in this car.
First time on the track today. I don't know whether that means ever or just in this new rig they've got set up in Ireland. I don't know whether they're normally in Ireland, what's going on, what relation Sean Murphy is to Owen Murphy, but many unanswered questions. But Sean Murphy's not chatting to us anymore, so I don't know the answer to any of those things at the moment. I guess if as Dave Douglas says, just slowing down a bit, I guess if he's not normally in Ireland and he is now, then the jet lag could be having a bit of an effect.
Yeah, if he's only freshly there, and I'm sure he's quite tired. But despite that mess up in qualifying, Murphy just drop-kicked it down the road and has made up for it in the race. Oh, Dave Douglas, though, with a mistake after his pit stop. Matt was out of a Scari, locked it up. Good job keeping it out of the wall, but then it looked like he had a bit of trouble trying to get the car turned around. Oh, uh-oh. More problems for DJ Sell.
Yeah, he had problems serving his penalty earlier on. That's a wild moment in towards the second chicane. He was very late on the brakes there, and he gets back going again. But 3 laps down after having trouble serving that penalty, so a long way back. I don't know if you saw who was right behind Dave Douglas, by the way, who was spinning across the road. It was only championship leader Aaron Sunday, who was probably breathing a sigh of relief. He wasn't about 3 seconds closer to Dave Douglas, otherwise he would have been in that crash.
Exactly. It's something we've kind of seen in our previous races for all 3 of the other classes, is that you could be all on your own, but you can't really count things as finished until you get to that checkered flag. Even if you're all by yourself up at the front, if you come upon lap traffic, somebody could have just a small mistake that could be extremely costly for you. Jeppesen, wasn't he in a fight with Lidback? He's behind him a ways now.
Yeah, he's just bobbled over the second part of the chicane. Lidback has been able to avoid, just had to slow down briefly. And in the background, Danley got it wrong. As Andy McCune got back onto the circuit again. Oh, but Danley tried to come through and hit the back of him. McCune will not be in his good books there, I'm afraid. Danley loses a bit of time. Hopefully he doesn't have very much damage from that.
Yeah, I think he was trying to serve that slowdown penalty and staying off to the side, but didn't seem to help in that situation. Ooh, Jeremy Main is just stepping into pit lane right now, and so is Aaron Sunday. A little bit early, these cars, but not outrageously so.
No, but I would say a little bit early. If you are a leading car, you generally want to run it out quite far, but there are quite a few drivers 1 lap down. Lapping them may well be costing them time, and so they decided to come in instead. Further back, Adam Holland versus Anthony DiVincenzo. DiVincenzo, by the way, is 5th in the championship right now, so a big day for him in terms of getting points, but he is all the way outside of the top 10 now, fighting here for, where is he, 12th place, I think this is, in the field. So now he comes in, but he has work to do in this second part of the race.
Wow, it's been an up and down day for Britt Danley, because Britt has now got a penalty for speeding in pit lane, is having to serve that during the pit stop. The 420 of DiVincenzo coming down, finding his marker. Nice, clean, and tidy into there. Jeppesen looks like he is exiting out as well, which will be about 11th place. Here is Britt coming in. Goes slow early. Maybe it wasn't speeding. Maybe that was incident points.
Maybe. Or he did that thing where you slow down a bit too early, so you accelerate again before the line, and then you accidentally sort of almost accelerate yourself over the pit line. I mean, we've all been there. Well, I have anyway. So he might have done that. He's in the pit lane for a long time there. It's a minute.
Is it 50 miles an hour here for the pit speed limit? Because Danley was over for a bit, but I don't know if it was enough to trigger it. So, bit of strange goings on. We're going to watch one more time on the way down in. Yeah, it's about 52 miles an hour just past the cones for a little while. But again, it's kind of marginal whether or not that would actually trip it up. That is our leader, and we'll see him probably get back out on track shortly here.
Bit of a lock up there from Olin Murphy. We've heard back, by the way, from Sean Murphy, and a big thanks to him for this. He says, I'm Olin's dad. He got to Ireland on Tuesday, which is only 2 days ago, so probably is a bit of jet lag. And he bought the track last night, so nervous times watching this. Big thanks to Sean for that little bit of info.
Absolutely. Apologies. Miscalling the relation there. Stern.
Oh, he's been hit. That was a lap car there. That was Jim Guramani, I think, who's gone straight into the back of Olin Murphy.
So can Murphy get that going and try and make up for the lost time on that one? He is technically our leader right now, so he might lose some positions once he comes into the pits, although he's off track once again. Keep it pointed forward. He does. And seems to be a bit rattled. Yeah, that makes it extremely impressive if this is the first time he's racing this track in this sim. I'm sure he's experienced it elsewhere. Oh, wow. What has gone wrong? Is there damage on the car, I wonder?
They must have, first of all, a bit of rear damage, but that certainly wasn't the problem at Lesmo 1 because he went straight on. He didn't oversteer, he went straight on, so he must have got a load of gravel on the tyres. So that's Guramani who's hit Murphy. He lights up the rear tyres, then he goes backwards into the gravel. Then, this is what happens at Lesmo 2. He just gets on the power a bit early. Maybe that was unrelated with damage, but he's certainly hit the wall now, so he's got a bit of front end, a bit of rear end damage.
Going to need to try and find that lucky charm, unfortunately, and try and bring it out because he's lost a lot of time on this lap. Surely he needs to pit now as well, since we should be right at the end of the pit window. So Stern will easily move back into the lead, but where will this spit out the 019? Because he was, about 6th place or so before the pit stops? Now he's got to be probably around 10th or lower.
Yeah, he was in position to get into the top 3 in the championship, but that is no longer going to be easy. He needs to be in the top 10 if Will Wolf's position remains. He needs to come out in the top 10. Here does Olin Murphy. This pit stop shouldn't be any longer than normal. It's just a case of getting back up to speed and how quickly he's going to be able to do that with some tyres that are probably a bit past their best now because of those spins. Maybe a little bit high on temperature and maybe a little bit of damage as well, depending on whether he gets any optionals here.
Well, they do have their spare car waiting for them, so if he does have the damage and he feels like it's worth it, he can utilize that, but it is long. So, yeah, he might be taking some repairs in the end. Yeah,
over 30 seconds. You don't want to be going much over 20. And I hope he hasn't sped in the pit lane to compound his problems, let's put it that way. If he has, then it's a minute, as Danley's was. He's now down in 17th, by the way.
Trippett going by with Eskridge will jump him to 10th, so he stays within that top 10, and he's got a little time to try and make up on it. Trippett overtakes Eskridge down into Redifilio. 8th place now for the 444.
That's a good little gain for Trippett. He was not so long ago battling for 10th place, but now is into 8th. It's not the end of the pit stop cycle, by the way. Lisa Eskridge still hasn't come in, so while Olin Murphy is now down to 11th, when Eskridge comes in, it will be 10th place, and he'll be back in that position to take 3rd away from Will Wolf in the championship with still 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, good catch on that. I didn't realize that she still needed to serve her stop. I was just about to comment, too, that she was up 10 positions from where she started. In fact, I don't think she's going to give those 10 positions back when she has a pit stop, though, as just behind, that was actually Olin Murphy losing out to Adam Holland. Did Olin have another issue now?
Yeah, he did. He broke too late for the second chicane and went across the chicane, so dropped a couple of places there. He's having a really disastrous last couple of laps here. Just needs to settle himself here, get back into the rhythm that he was in earlier on when he was passing all those cars coming back through the field. Unfortunately, he's now down around where he qualified, which is a shame really for someone of his calibre. Just needs to get settled back in here and get to back where he was before. Just braking too late with cold brakes a little bit, you'd expect. And that wasn't even close to making it to the corner there, I'm afraid. He went sailing over the chicane.
Probably better to just take the slowdown penalty as opposed to getting himself, unfortunately, a spin out there, as Alan Hale's going to be overtaken by Adam Holland. Holland really on the move. He's now up 10 himself. Eskridge up 9 since she lost the position. She's pitting in, though, so make that up 11 for the 144, as Hales is going to try and take that one back. I think if we had to summarize this challenge race here to wrap things up, it's minimize mistakes, and that will give you a good result. But there have been few drivers able to do that today.
Yeah, possibly the race where we can say that most actually out of the four, other than maybe the sport class last week on Wednesday, which was pretty chaotic as well. But I don't quite remember it being like this. Maybe it was something similar, but it was. It's been a fairly messy way to end. This is Andy McCune going too quickly into the first chicane. He was too slowly for the liking of Danley in the second chicane not so long ago. This time too quick and too late on the brakes. Andy McCune, he works his way through the polystyrene boards in the way you're supposed to and gets back going again. But yeah, this has very much been about survival, and one of the only drivers who's not been involved in anything so far is Brian Stern, and he's leading the race.
Exactly. So he's up at the front. He had to fight off Jeremy Main for a little while, but yeah, it's been pretty clean up there for him. Now, we've got Garamani, who has served a penalty that he got earlier. And we spoke too soon. Commentators curse, unfortunately, as Stern has a mistake spinning out of the opening chicane. Aaron Sunday picks up the lead with ease.
I think he'll be giving us a stern look in the interview room later on, because I think we've cost him a lead there for sure. Aaron Sunday now moves forward into the lead of this race. Can he take his first win since Donington Park around 3 of this championship and maintain himself as the only repeat winner this season with 3? If he can hold on to this, it's a great position to find himself in. Stern may be distracted by the driver in front, but at the end of the day, it's his right foot that's caused the spin there.
And Aaron had been running him down, but I don't think he was that super close, so shouldn't have been pressure, just maybe Brian getting into his own head a bit too much. Gap now to about 2 seconds between the pair of them. The good news for Brian is Jeremy Main is a full 11 seconds off in third, so it's basically a 1v1 up at the front if he can remake this ground.
Well, can he remake the ground, though? Because generally, I think the trend has been going back towards Aaron Sunday here, actually. So I think Brian Stern is going to have his work cut out in these last 15 minutes. Although once he gets there, he may be able to play the card that Sunday will be thinking in championship mode, and Stern will be able to take a few more risks. I know that Stern is second in the championship, but he's not realistically going to win it at this stage, with Sunday needing to lose about 40 seconds compared to where he is at the moment. Stern can play that card a little bit, take a couple of risks, and he might just get Sunday to back out of the battle.
15 minutes should be plenty to try and get into the thick of this, but he's going to have to be consistent, strong, and then decisive once he approaches. This is Olin Murphy on Alan Hales. Olin falling down to 12th. Things unraveled very quickly, unfortunately, for the 019. So can he pick it up from here and try to make up for the mistakes? It's not just Hales in front of him. You saw in the foreground there, Adam Holland and Anthony DiVincenzo, not too far away that he could try and make a challenge. So one last time, we do want to give another mention to keep your racing clean and your body cleaner with MoHandsome.com men's skincare and grooming products. Something you'll likely need after working up the sweat in your sim rig. Their products are designed and manufactured right here in the USA. Made from natural ingredients with low fragrance, Mo Handsome products are filled with good stuff to keep your skin and hair healthy. These race-winning natural formulas and sports car liveried containers will appeal to grizzled veterans and fresh-faced hot shoes alike. Use code GOMOPCA to get a very special 25% off your purchases at mohandsome.com. Grab one as a holiday gift today. Let's see whether or not Olin can take that mohandsome.com car any closer to Alan Hales as he sets him up coming into the De La Rocha chicane, which has had a lot of cars go a little too deep, including in front of them now. I think DiVincenzo might give them another spot.
Is he going to have a slowdown that's going to put him behind him? I don't think so quite. He will slot into 10th place. This is all very close for 8th place, basically. Ed Trippett, he won't be able to see quite through the fog in the orange, but he is up ahead here. Then it's Holland, then DiVincenzo, then just in front of us, Hales. So there's DiVincenzo back on again, and hopefully he can get back into the rhythm. Certainly looks like Olin Murphy's been able to do that. With Will Wolf currently only just one position behind him, he needs to find himself ahead of DiVincenzo and Holland here. Does Murphy, if he wants to get that third in the championship. He needs these 3 positions ahead of him.
Down they go through the Ascari chicane once again, nose to tail between them late in the race with not much after this. They do have Series 13 already lined up and ready to go pretty soon, so they won't have a super long break here, but you do not want to leave things on a downer. You want to try and get your best performance out of the final race of the season. And as they weave back and forth again to try and break that slipstream, it is DiVincenzo holding what Hales and Murphy wants.
Yeah, down in towards turn number 1 here. Hales is close to DiVincenzo. Can he have a move here? He might need to, because Murphy's coming down the inside. And, oh, that was late on the brakes. Murphy knew it as well. He just really slammed on very late on as well, just to make sure he didn't go into the side of Hales. But look how close he is behind. He's in great position here to try and work himself through at the second chicane.
Hales must have had huge eyes coming into that braking zone, seeing that car come from that far back. And now he's going to show himself again. Oh, a little bit of a half-hearted defense from Allen. He'll make the apex. Murphy does not, and he'll hold on to the spot on top of things. Murphy almost looking too eager at times in some of these maneuvers.
Yeah, maybe. I think in some sense, looking pretty aggressive, but actually needs to be a bit more decisive in certain places, actually. He was looking up the inside towards turn 1, for example, but, he was nowhere near decisive enough to ever make the drivers ahead, Hales, think that he was ever going to actually do that. And meanwhile, Adam Holland gets on the back of Ed Trippett here in towards Ascari. That's decisive. That's late on the brakes. And that is 8th place now for Adam Holland.
Beautiful move from the Canadian. As you said, P8 for him. Didn't think he was that close to Trippett. And Trippett, oh, wow, he's got DiVincenzo right behind him as well. Anthony is going to poke his nose down to the inside, coming down into the Parabolica. He'll outbrake him into that corner. This will actually help out those two behind them, as a cut back underneath from Edward Trippett allows him to try and fight back. In fact, he gets way better traction, and by the time they exit the corner, he's already back ahead.
Yeah, he needs good traction and a good exit out of Parabolica, but he doesn't have the slipstream. That's the problem. If he can clear DiVincenzo by the time they're into turn 1, he'll be okay. But no, he's not cleared him. And DiVincenzo's going to come back because of the slipstream from Holland. In towards turn 1 they go. Late on the brakes from DiVincenzo around the outside, and he's back through into 9th position. And with Olin Murphy in the pit lane further down, he will be looking maybe at 4th in the championship himself.
Yeah, Murphy, unfortunately, getting, I think, a penalty for too many incident points, it looks like. As Trippett, man, 2 positions lost in 1 lap for him. It's kind of not really looking that great. Of course, doesn't seem like he has the speed in comparison to those around him. Of course, DiVincenzo has been kind of up and down the order. Adam Holland, though, not sure if he just had a poor qualifying or what. He's gone from 21st up to 8th, a gain of 13.
Yeah, fantastic drive from Holland. And actually, notably as well, most notably, I think, not many of those positions gained early on, actually. So he didn't take advantage of the lap one or particular carnage, really, but has really started to move forward pretty late on in this race, and with 10 minutes to go, he's in 8th place. That might be his limit now, unless one of the top 7 fall off the road somewhere. It might be his limit, but either way, great drive and a lot of genuine overtakes in that 13 he's made.
Yeah, 11 seconds to 9 is maybe just a bit too much to ask at this stage. If anything, DiVincenzo looks like he also wants to try and continue up the order here as he gets very close, and so does Alan Hales on the back of Ed Trippett. Could have a pair of battles erupting by the time we get down to the braking of the first chicane, but let's watch and see. Ooh, Hales with a fantastic run as we hop on board the black, white, and red machine.
He's going to have a chance here. He fancies his chances as well with Trippett ahead. No, lifts off, I think, in towards turn 1. Certainly looked like it. Whether he actually did, I don't know, but it certainly looked like it. Hales there just backing away into turn 1. Meanwhile, it's Sunday versus Stern for the lead.
Ooh, they caught up pretty well there. So Brian Stern showing the speed that he was holding maybe a little bit in reserve here. Sunday is going to be under threat, and he's got to manage it for at least 4 or 5 more laps to the finish line. This is what we've been looking for, and Stern has got to know that Sunday just needs that top 6. He cannot afford to wreck the car and end his race prematurely here. So if Brian gets aggressive, it'll be on Aaron to try and manage that aggression in a way that is conducive to him.
Yeah, I think that's what I was talking about earlier. I think that's a card that Stern can certainly play. Let's see, though. Sunday keeps it through the middle of the road. He clearly has some intentions of defending. Stern immediately, they're going down the inside. I think that's the right call. He's a bit later on the break. Sunday decided to just hang back there. Whether that was intentional or whether that's because he's looking for a run on the exit, I'm not sure. But Brian Stern gets the lead back again.
He is not interested in running Linus Stern. He wants to try and lead this race as we watch the battle with Jeppesen a little bit farther back. This is for the 4th position. Gallet putting some pressure onto him, but not close enough to try and get side by side down into the opening braking zone. He'll hold on to them. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to be able to battle for a podium position because it's almost 10 seconds up to main.
Yeah, I think so. Battle goes on again. DiVincenzo trying to get past Holland. Very close to the back of him, actually, towards turn number 1 here. Holland keeps it through the middle of the road for a little bit longer than he was expecting, maybe. Like the other brakes down the inside for DiVincenzo. They're very even. Holland holds it at the inside line. Very close to contact as well, but DiVincenzo gets through into 8th place.
You can see how much he had to crank that wheel here with these sharp chicanes. And with that butterfly-style wheel, certainly not easy. He's going to get another bite of the apple. Will Adam Holland. He'll try and get the overlap coming down to the braking of De La Roja. They'll go side by side once again. Almost contact between them. It was oh so close. Holland goes wide off the corner. Trippett says, thanks very much. That's my chance to sneak through and take 9th back.
And DiVincenzo there up to 8th, but he goes wide. Oh goodness, that wasn't helpful at all. He had a great chance to run away a bit there with Trippett getting ahead of Holland, but that's completely gone now. He will be under pressure again. Meanwhile, Stern's under pressure for the lead again.
It is all kicking off at the end. This is what we were looking forward to. An all-out battle to close up the season. Lap traffic in front of them. What's going to happen here with Jack Stevenson? Can he potentially play a factor?
That is Jack Stevenson, by the way, just up ahead of him in 18th, but he slows down on the inside of the Curva Grande. Not the conventional way to do it at all, but he's managed to get out of the way just in time. Then Lisa Eskridge is just in front of those two as well. That might be the last lap car, or the last car they put a lap down anyway throughout the race, and indeed the season itself. It might well be just a straight battle between them after that.
On board with Holland, looking up at the rear bumper of Ed Trippett. They'll cross the line once again with just over 5 minutes left to go. Very, very close between them. That's going to be a bigger pull down the straightaway as they come into the brake zone. Holland looks down to the inside. Out brakes Ed Trippett. He gets himself ahead. Oh, fully locked up, though. He's not going to make the corner.
Well, I thought he was going to get into the DiVincenzo. He was so late on the brakes, but no, not quite. He actually stopped Will Wolf from getting alongside Trippett on the exit there as well. Holland will now drop to the back. Wolf into the top 10. Can he maybe get into ninth and take 2 in 1 here? As he gets onto the back of Trippett, he pulls out the perfect moment here. Gets on the outside right at the end of the Curva Grande, which gives you the inside at the Della Rosa. Here he goes on the inside line. Trippett's not going to give up on the outside line. The two of them go side by side, and Holland's back in the game again. He goes on the inside in towards Lesmo 1. This is great stuff between the 4 of them now, because Hales is joining in as well. Holland can't get down the inside though, although Wolf is scared off the road. He loses his top 10 again.
Just little mistakes here and there, but man, Trippett, even with the elbows out and banging doors, manages to get into ninth. Adam Holland watching Trippett, knowing he wants to get that one back. Alan Haynes seeing all the chaos in front of him, knowing he could potentially try and pick up some spots here. Look at how close he is to the back of Wolf.
This is a great group. We've seen this, especially for the second half of the race, post pit stops. This has been the best group in the field by a long way. From 9th place it is now, but earlier at 8th place as well with Anthony DiVincenzo. It's been a fantastic battle, and all the more fantastic as well for having one of the top 5 involved in this battle as well. One of the top 5 in the championship, one of the top 3 indeed. Will Wolf, he's looking for his way back into the top 10 again here, as Adam Holland is surely going to be under pressure in towards turn 1. He will keep the slipstream red Trippett, but he might have to surrender the inside line to Will Wolf, and he does.
Wolf is at the door. The question is Holland going to let him through, or is he going to defend? There's not much he can do, because deeper on the brakes for Wolf will put him back into P10. Looks like Hales was not able to do anything with that. Oh, Wolf has been rife with mistakes today, and he will slip down to 12th.
Could be worse. Jeffrey Block will probably not be that far behind. And yeah, he's gone down to 13th. Now, Ola Murphy will not be too far away either. So just a little bit heavy on the right foot out of turn 2. And that's the end of that, unfortunately, for Wolf, leaving just 3 in this group, and maybe just 2 now. Adam Holland got that all wrong in towards the second chicane.
What did we say about those mistakes? You got to try and minimize them as much as you can. Trippett doing that the best of his ability, and that will reward him with 9th. Unfortunately, DiVincenzo did a better job. He's already almost 3 seconds up the road in that 8th position. 2.5 minutes left. Leaders have recently crossed the start-finish line, so next time by, going to be our white flag. Sunday, for what it's worth, there you can see now, while he was almost a second and some change behind, he has cut that back down to half a second.
Now, he can lose 3/4 of a minute in these last 2 laps and still win the championship. So how aggressive is he going to be in passing Brian Stern? He's not going to throw absolute caution to the wind. However, surely he'd give it a little go on the last lap if you've got the chance, because even a spin wouldn't count him out of this at all.
Up to the second Lesmo now. Aaron Sunday, does he just bring it home from here? Does he push to get that 3rd win and really just put down the assertion that he is number 1 in this challenge class? Doesn't need to necessarily, but I'm sure the temptation is there, wanting to come home on a victory rather than just cruising in to the title. Brian Stern, in the meantime, he needs this win. He's done everything he can do. He needs Aaron Sunday to have a mistake if there's any hope of him coming away with the points lead.
Absolutely. Stern looking to become the 6th different race winner in 7 races this season. That's not him defending into the final corner, by the way. That's just his line. We'll see how that plays out on the last lap, because we're only a minute away from the finish. The white flag will be shown. The last lap of the Porsche Club America for season 12 is going to be a fantastic one. Here's the battle for the lead.
Sunday gets a good run, but he's going to have to look around the outside. Brian Stern defends as they come up to the braking for turn 1. All the way fully up alongside him and a little bit ahead. Did he brake too deep, or is Sunday going to make the corner? He makes the corner. Aaron Sunday back to the top spot with less than a lap to go.
almost unbelievably made the corner. He was so late on the brakes there, but he timed it just right, and now he's in the lead with just this last lap to go. He got a good exit out of turn 2 as well. The way he went through that first chicane almost suggested he was holding back earlier in the race. Now he certainly isn't. Brian Stern looks up the inside of the second chicane, and no, it's going to have to wait for later. Although Sunday gets it wrong. Oh, they both go deep.
They are trying at 110%, almost overdriving these cars into the corners now. Stern could have had it back in that moment. There's still just a couple more chances, but maybe not anymore, because Stern has gone off into the gravel. He now falls a bit of ways back, and that might be all she wrote. Sunday starts to stretch away.
1 second is the margin. He just needs a clean run through Ascari, and he will be home and dry. The advantage that Stern did have is that he takes that really tight line into the final corner, and it could have helped him on the inside line, but Stern is closing in again on Sunday here. Is there some sort of penalty that he's still serving here Sunday? I don't really know, but he was losing time on the way to Ascari. Very weird, but he's now 7 tenths back in front again. He's losing time again, but I think he'll be okay.
As long as he's smooth around this final corner, that's all he needs, just getting on the throttle. As long as he has enough fuel to the finish, he is good. It might be a Thursday, but for the championship, it is any given Sunday as Aaron Sunday takes the win and the title.
Fantastic drive. 3rd race win this season. The only driver to win more than 1 race, and this one was possibly his closest yet. Just half a second. A great last lap pass on Brian Stern, and a great battle between the two on the last lap as well.
We still got more action to come. Trippett, Hales, Holland, they haven't managed to separate from one another. They come down to Ascari, and Holland looks like he's got a pretty good bit of momentum coming up to the braking zone. Hales defends slightly. Maybe he's even just trying to see if he can shake Trippett off the racing line, but no dice, and they will stay in order. However, Holland, once again, he's so close. All he needs is the momentum. He might have it, but it looks like Hales also getting a pull here.
Yeah, Trippett certainly doesn't have the momentum. He needs to defend the inside. There's only 1 corner to go. Forget about your exit. You need to defend the inside line, and he just hasn't. Alan Hales is on the inside, although he was very timid. Here goes Adam Holland round the outside instead. It's going to be a drag race up towards the line, but Trippett will hang on, despite his rather naive defending into the final corner, and Hales will hang on for a top 10 as well.
Trippett up 7 and Holland up 10. In fact, Holland was our biggest mover in this race. Fantastic stuff. Yes, it was a bit messy at times between them. As you see, Olin Murphy has to settle for 14th there. The finish line is the early line, by the way. I know they're racing to the finish, but that's not the one they need to worry about there, that second line. 16 cars did actually wind up finishing on the lead lap for this one, but the first amongst them was Aaron Sunday, unofficially your champion. Brian Stern was in second, and Jeremy Main comes home in third. Then it's Josh Jeppesen finishing P4, Robert Galley in P5, and Alex Lidback in 6th. Johan Nye was P7, Anthony DiVincenzo 8th, and Ed Trippett 9th, with Alan Hales rounding out your top 10.
Adam Holland just about missing out on that top 10, but he did still gain 10 on the day. Will Wolf manages to hang on to third in the championship with 12th ahead of Jeffrey Bott, Olin Murphy, Ryan McGee and Dave Douglas, the last 2 ons on the lead lap. Jim Guramani finished 1 lap down with Lisa Eskridge, Jack Stevenson and Randall Ayers rounding out the top 10 after his opening lap incident. Andy McCune, DJ Sell and Stephen Danley, or Britt Danley I should say, finished down at the back.
One more reminder, Charlie Mobile is sponsoring the Series 12 Clean Driver Award. Charlie Mobile is providing the winner with an Apple iPhone 16 and a year of cell service. So a big thank you to Charlie Mobile, as hopefully I won't have to twist my tongue around that much more, although if they come back, we'll greatly appreciate it. And we all greatly appreciate our winner coming to join us, Aaron Sunday. Aaron, what a race. It looked like things almost fell apart at the very start. You got kind of nudged to the side. Did your heart jump into your throat? Might not have Aaron mic'd up here. Aaron, do you have a copy? Unfortunately, not looking like we've got Aaron ready to talk to us. This is a bit of a shame. We're looking forward to hearing him talk about what was an exciting battle. We'll give it one last try here. Aaron, this is Joe Peak in the booth. Do you have a copy? Nope, no dice, unfortunately. Well, in the meantime, I think Ewan has caught up with the other side of the equation, Brian Stern, who came up just shy by half a second in the end.
Yeah, welcome in, Brian. Good to have you with us. What a great battle at the end there. It certainly was for us to watch, but tell us your perspective on it.
Oh man, definitely. Should have been able to make that happen, but Aaron showed us why he's been so dominant this season.
I mean, so your second place finish of the season, I should say, and your fourth podium as well, coming up just short in the championship. In the end, the gap 27 points. It was a close season all throughout, but how are you feeling at the end of it with 4 podiums and second place in the championship?
Oh, it was a great season. I learned a lot and progressed a lot as a driver, and a huge shout out to the ICs here, the instructors, Mike, Yoakum, Rex, Neville. I learned a ton from those guys, and it really paid off.
All right, congratulations on second place tonight and indeed the championship, Brian, and thanks for chatting to us as well.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Brian Stern there. Second place tonight behind Aaron Sunday, who we're still trying to get hold of. I think we'll go to Jeremy Main next.
Indeed, we got third place with us. He was a bit distance off of there, but it didn't start out that way. Jeremy, at one point, you were looking like you might run away with the win on this one, and then it kind of fell apart. What happened there? Well, we might not have Jeremy hooked up either. Microphone problems all around tonight.
Can you hear me now?
We have you now, Jeremy. What happened in the race there up at the front? It looked like the lead was pretty solid at one point.
Yeah, I mean, I was feeling pretty good about it. I was, getting a run down, and it was feeling pretty good. But then I was just starting to feel like Stern had better pace than I did, and I just, I didn't want to fight through the first chicane there too much, and that kind of set me back to second position.
Well, in the end, you were able to at least collect the third place. What do you think it'll take to try and keep up with guys like Sunday and Stern? Is it just keeping the consistency and limiting those mistakes?
Yeah, for me, it really is about consistency. I feel like when I'm really on, I can put in laps with, some of the race winners. But even though I've really been working on it, I still just have these little unforced errors that that over the span of the race just kind of keeps me a little slower compared to those top drivers.
Of course, this wraps up Series 12, but Series 13 is going to be coming up pretty soon. With all the technical tracks we had this time, is there anything high on your wish list for Series 13 you want to see Santa deliver in terms of tracks?
Well, I mean, looking at the tracks for Series 13, I'm pretty excited about them all. I mean, starting with Daytona, I never feel that comfortable. I've done okay in the past, so I'm hoping to kind of, do some practice on that one and settle into it.
Well, we'll look out for you. Again, it was a great showing here today, and congratulations on a podium.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it.
Jeremy Main with a P3. And we're going to give one more try, it looks like, to the man on the top step, Aaron Sunday. Aaron, this is Joe with the broadcast team. Do you have a copy? Well, we're seeing him light up, but unfortunately we're not hearing him, so not sure that we'll get to talk to Aaron here tonight, unfortunately. But again, a big congratulations to Aaron for what was a stellar drive out there to take the win. Really fought hard for that one. Just unfortunately, we won't get to chat with him. Maybe next season, since we'll now have a break to try and get that sorted out. In the meantime, a big thank you, of course, goes to the steering committee at PCA Sim Racing, as well as to our team tonight, Hugo and Ewan. Also, thanks you so much for watching tonight's broadcast of PCA Sim Racing. I'm Joe Peak, and until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.